What's going on, everyone? It's Bales, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Trade Talk video on the channel ahead of round 13. Bit easier week for trades this week. Just the two teams on bye in Freo, Port Adelaide, but we've got the four teams, Brisbane, Giants, North Melbourne and Sydney, all coming off of their bye, so plenty of targets that we're going to be looking to bring into our squads this week. And as I said, with Freo and Port on bye, not really too many people looking at trading out. So a lot of coaches are probably going to look at trading out players that have got around 14 and 15 bye, getting rid of those rookies in mid-price and trying to get a full sort of team of premiums, as if you like, before round 16 starts and we can hit that home stretch of the season. So we'll obviously look at the most trading out players of the week. So let's get stuck into it. But as always, before we do, if you are enjoying the content around here and enjoying this video, make sure you smash a big thumbs up on the video. We hit 229 likes last week. The goal was 250. We fell just short, but plenty of likes on there. So if we can hit 250 likes on this video, make sure you smash the thumbs up. One in every 8 people, I think, is what the math works out. We get about 2,000 people watch the video. If we can get one every 8, or even better, if we can get more than that, then make sure you smash a thumbs up on the video. If we can get 300 likes, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, 250 is the goal, so let's see if we can hit it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do. We are near the 2,400 marker. I think we're 14 away as the time of recording. So if we can hit 2,400, that'd be very much appreciated. And then obviously 3K is the big goal by the end of the season. But yeah, let's get stuck into it. So Zach Fisher is the most traded in play this week. 14.6K have jumped on him. He's just a great option. 751K in a forward line where there's not many options to be really bringing in. Obviously, you got your Flanders, Heaney, and Zorko as the top three. Not in that order. It's probably, what would the order be? Probably Zorko, Heaney, Flanders, something like that. Anyway, they're the three. And then I think Fisher's number 4. 4 tons in a row since we all trade him out, fun enough. So we'll bring him back in. Back-to-back 103s and 121, 112. And the St Kilda game was an easy matchup, but Gold Coast isn't that easy a matchup. Essendon's not an easy matchup, and then Port's a really hard matchup. So he's been really, really good. I think he's a great target to bring in, and he's got a good run coming up. West Coast, Collingwood, Melbourne, then Bulldogs in the next month. So, and then Gold Coast as well, who you already got 100 on. So, yep, I think he's a great target and should be probably a number one priority for a lot of people. Errol Goulden's next, 8.2K jumping on him. Great matchup this week as well, so hopefully you get that sugar hit. As an owner already, it's going to be obviously disappointing as he was a pod for me. A lot of people are now going to jump on him, so he's not going to be as much for pod. But he hasn't hit a 130 yet this year. I think that's just a matter of time before he starts pumping out some really big scores. We know he's got the ceiling. Good matchup this week. Could be this week. It's a big score. I'm a big fan of bringing in Errol Goulden this week. 932K. It's an achievable price for a lot of us as well, so I really like him. Tom Green, 7,500 jumping on him. Yep. There's not. People are going to look at Tom Green and go, I'm not sold on him. He's gone, 4 games in a row, including the injured 7, under 100. If you look at the games, obviously injured here, 98, he was a top scoring mid on the ground and low game time as well. Then he got the 83 against the Dogs. It was wet. Giants didn't look good in that game. And then he got 91 against Geelong when he was tagged by Blitzarves. No marks in there as well. I think it's, again, I wouldn't overthink it. I think he's a great target. Hawks this week, Nash does match up well against him, so he could go to Tom Green this week. Then he does have Port, but I just, again, Tom Green, I wouldn't overthink it too much. He's at a really cheap price. He's not a player that should be priced at 761K, so I'd be bringing him in without any hesitation whatsoever. Toby McMullen, 7.3K jumping on. Just really comes down to if he's named and if he's not the sub, because he's got -6 break even. He's 260K. If he isn't the sub, I think he's a great option. Low break even. Hopefully make us some cash and an extra number during the buys. So I like him as an option. Billy Dowling, finally, as a Crows fan, I'm so happy he's finally making his debut. Been calling for it for the better part of a year. I've just wanted him to get a go, and he's finally doing that. Hopefully he's not the sub. If he's not the sub, he could be an option to jump on straight away. I'm not normally a big fan of jumping on 200K rookie straight away, but the fact that mid-forward, we don't have a huge amount of options this week, especially come for the buy. You've got McMullen, you've got maybe Will Dawson, Alec Lear as well, 338K. That's quite expensive for a guy that's not like sort of averaging a huge amount. So you could jump on Dowling straight away. At the moment, I'm looking at getting him next week, and getting McMullen. But if McMullen isn't named or is looking like the sub, I might just jump on Dowling this week. Isaac Heaney's next, 4K jumping on him. Yep, and I'll probably bunch him and Zorko in as well. Nearly 3K jumping on Zorko as well. You just need both. They're the two of the top 3 forwards, so you're going to need both in. So if you don't have either, you can target both. I've got Heaney, so I'm probably going to look at targeting Zorko this week or next week. But yeah, if you don't have Heaney, I'd be looking at him as well. Charlie Dean, you could look at it. He is over 300k now. He's got the round 15 bye. I think if McMullen's named, I'd rather go him. You could save 100k and go Dowling, or 110k and go Dowling. If you want a guy to make a bit of cash and play the next couple of weeks, Dean's probably your guy. And I don't mind those coaches that want to jump on him as well. Josh Dunkley as well, good option. Dogs this week, then Saints next week. So a couple of decent matchups there. Obviously, revenge game on Friday night against the Dogs. So yeah, I like him, and I think he'll be a top 8 mid. And then Chad Warner is the 10th most traded in. Don't get wrong, he's an amazing player. Love watching the Chad. But in terms of fantasy, he's been solid this year. Hasn't gone below 80, 85 all year. But last 2 weeks, there is 2 best scores of the year. But he's needed 3 goals, 2 and 4 goals to get there. He's an impact player, but has a huge impact. He's probably a guy that teams look at putting a bit of attention into moving forward, because Heaney's so difficult to tag. Goulden is also really hard to tag, and I think Warner's probably a guy that's almost a bit easier. He's probably not going to be easy to clamp, but I think he's a guy surely teams look at and go, we want to clamp him instead. So yeah, I'm not sold on it. Supercoach, he's probably a better pick, but not in fantasy. I just don't think he accumulates enough to be a consistent scorer for mine. And we have seen him in the past put up some 50s and 60s in poor games. So I'd probably prefer other options. I'd prefer even an LDU's a bit cheaper. Ryan Angwin, I'm not sold on the pick. Just over 2k jumping on him. He's 380. Is it 387 or something like that? Somewhere around there. Yeah, 387. Break even at 8. Again, if McMullen's not named and we've got a few options aren't named, you want a guy that to maybe score a few extra points, then you could go him. But 187k saving, you can get a Dowling who might be in the Crows team at least for a bit. So you could probably go there instead and save a bit of cash. So I probably wouldn't go there, but I don't hate it. Sexton, yep, good option this week. St Kilda. The only obviously problem is he's got the bye the following week. But if it works for your buy structure, you could realistically go there. But obviously the traditional form of trading in round the second bye week is bringing the players coming off the bye and trading out players that are about to have a bye. And Sexton's about to have his bye. I'd probably, thinking about it now, I'd probably wait till after his bye, see a game with him and Will Power back there. I think Sexton's going to be fine. I think he could be a top 6 forward in this role. And I think he's playing well enough that the Gold Coast aren't going to drop him. So I'd probably wait till after his bye, but you could go this week. He's still going to make a bit of cash as well, and he's got a great matchup. So if it works for your buys, I couldn't talk you out of it. Whitfield, he's coming off his bye. I just look at the games. Hawthorn seems like a good matchup. I wouldn't be shocked if Finn McGuinness just came in for this game to tag a Whitfield and sit at half forward. They did have a good win against the Crows, so maybe they don't make any changes. If they don't make any changes, there's a chance that Whitfield has a good game. But then he goes into Port, who probably gets like a McEntee or something, and Port already restrictive enough. And then he's got Sydney again, and he's got obviously James Jordan, who kept into a 48. So I wouldn't be trading into a Whitfield for at least the next 3-4 weeks, and I'll look at him after that. He's a cheap price, though, so that's probably what people are looking at, but I wouldn't be looking at it. I'd be trying to look for maybe more of a point of difference in a way, because he's quite highly owned, and I just don't think there'll be big scores. Maybe this week could be, but next couple of weeks I don't think there will be. Will Dawson, yep, if he plays, is a solid enough option. He's not going to be a huge scorer, but he would be an option for us. Defender forward as well, so good for flexibility during the buys. 249k, good price. Yeah, there's a chance I bring him in this week. So, yep. Fraser, I wouldn't be bringing him in. He's now, what, is he like 360 or something? Or he's over 350, isn't he? What is he? Like 360? 365, if this was to load. I'll wait for him to load. But yeah, I just think he's too expensive with the upcoming buy. Yeah, 365. So I just think he's too expensive with a buy coming up as well. He's going to make cash, but if it worked for your buys, you could. But I think it's just too expensive at this point. I'd be targeting other players at this point now and saving some cash. Even getting a Dowling, he's got the same buy. you're saving yourself 165k. Yeah, I'd probably look at other options. Crispy's probably one of the only premiums that I'd probably look at that's got his bye coming up. He's looked fantastic last month, scoring hundreds in every game. He's 840k now. He's only going to get more expensive. He's performing definitely like a top 6 defender of late. Yeah, there you go. 4 great scores in a row. Yeah, I'd be happy to get him if it works for your buys, because I don't think we've got a lot of defenders on that round 15 buy. Like a Nick Dacos is probably the only one that comes to mind that's highly owned. So if it works for your buys, you could. But again, I think I'd still rather target players coming off of their buy rather than targeting players that are about to have their buy. And then, yeah, Bont as well. It's probably the same thing as Crisp. I don't mind targeting him. It's just been frustrating as an owner. His 2 best scores this year before last weekend were followed up by his 2 worst scores, where he got 149 against Geelong in gather round, then followed up with a 53 in a really poor game. And then, what was it, when he got a 126 against Richmond, he followed up with a 71 against Giants. So every time I've thought Bont's about to start going on a roll, he's then put up a poor score. I'm hoping this week he can go big again. And hopefully this is the start of a big season, big second half from Bont. He looked fantastic on Friday night. I saw him in person as well. Obviously went to the game, so it was really, really good. He was obviously amazing that last quarter. So hopefully this is the start of a Bont roll for the second half of the year. Most trade out players, I think this will be pretty quick, because I think a lot of them are fairly obvious. Like Harley Reid, nearly 21k jumping off. That's just numbers that's going to continue to go like north. 64% owned. He's obviously, everyone's got him. You're trading him out. He's going to miss this week, the bye, and then the following week. He's a rookie. It's obvious trade. He's got to go. Closey, 11k jumping off. This is a guy where you could trade him now. He's averaging 74. He's break-even 79. It's probably time for him to go. He's got the bye next week. If you can work around him, he's got the Saints. He could put up a pretty decent score. I think, Saints are a great matchup for defenders and wingers. So, Closey could benefit from that and put up a good score. And they just, they had back-to-back games at Darwin, and then he's put up a couple of lower scores. But, I think he could have a good game against St Kilda. But again, if he gets you to the upgrade you want, I'm happy to trade. Darcy Wilson, probably a bit the same. I'd be a bit happy to keep Darcy Wilson because he's in a forward line where he's actually scoring quite well, averaging 71. He probably would be in sort of the top 10 forwards for the last 3 to 5 average. Averaging 79.6 in his last 5. Dropped a little bit in his last couple of games. I think got a 72 last week. But then he got an 80 last week, then a 72, 87, 192. So he's been solid. So you could trade. It's not going to burn you. And he's a rookie at the end of the day. So if he gets the upgrade you want, I'd be happy to trade. I'm probably looking at trading at his buy, though, if I'm going to trade him. So, because again, if he's my final player to upgrade on field come round 16, I don't think it's a big issue. I'm not going to be losing much points on the next forward. Matt Crouch, unfortunately, he's got to go. I think he's out for the season. 7k jumping off. He's been a great pick, averaging 105.7. His last sort of month as well has been really good. The last 5 weeks, 103, 117, 119, 98, 133. Really though, 133 from 68% is crazy. When he had a busted shoulder as well, that's a great effort there. But when you look at it, it's the perfect forced trade that you could ask for. He's 911k. He wasn't going to be a top 8 midfielder, even though he was performing very, very well. I just couldn't see him sustaining that for the rest of the year. And he's put up a massive score when you trade him. So it's all you could ask for with a forced trade. Obviously, it sucks for Crouchy, and as a Crows fan, I'm disappointed he's out for the rest of the year because he's been playing good footy. But as a fantasy coach, he's been fantastic. You sort of shake your hand and say, fantastic, been a great pick, and you can move him. Like 21k, you get Errol Goulden. Was it, 911? What's that? 67k. And you get yourself a Dunkley. So it's not much. You can save money when getting a Tom Green. So, he's just a guy that has been great, and you have to trade him. So, Riley Bonner has been good as well, but he's starting to drop cash now. He dropped, 20-something K on the weekend. Break-even's up at 118. 23k lost. He's got Gold Coast at Marvel. He might be dropped. The decision could be made for you. But if he held, I think it's still a week to trade him, especially if you have him in round 15. Go him to Fisher, you make yourself 24k. Next week, you'll lose cash by doing that trade, or very likely lose cash. So I would be making that switch this week. I think it's going to be a pretty popular trade. Jeremy Sharp's probably the team-dependent one. 4.8k jumping off him at the moment. Really comes down to if he's going to help you in round 14 and 15 and how heavy you are. If he's going to be that extra number that can help you in those 2 weeks, probably like myself, I think, I'm probably going to hold. I think he'd be quite valuable. He's got the Dogs at Marvel in round 14 as well, which is a pretty good matchup. So I'll probably hold this week and play him through the buys and trade him at round 16. But he's a typical buy player. He's made good cash. He's had some good scores. He's got the buy this week. You can essentially sideways switch into a Tom Green. It's not going to cost you very much at all. What is it? It's like, less than 30k or something, I think it is. Yeah, it's like, 26k, is it? I think, 26k. So, not much. I'd be happy to do that move if it works for your team and your buy structure. Butters, I wouldn't be trading. 3.2k jumping off. I know he's had a few poorer scores, but Rosie will be back in post the buy, and I think Butters will go quite well. So I would be holding Butters there. Richards can go. He is only 3 weeks away, so he'll be back after the bye. I think he comes straight back into the side. He's been really, really impressive, and he's got a negative 21 break even. So I'm probably going to hold him through these buys. But again, if you've got all green dots and you can work and you can trade him and get that extra number, then that works. Or if you need numbers, he can go. But I'll probably just hold him and trade a Garcia, who's around the same price. Caleb Windsor can go. Obviously, we just mentioned Garcia, who can go. I'd definitely be trading him over Richards. We just don't know what Garcia is doing. He might even come in this. You never know, could come in this week. But I sort of just don't know with Garcia, so I'd be happy to trade. Graham can go. Had a sort of poor score on the weekend. You could hold if he gets named, but again, I'd be happy to go. He's got the bye next week. Fife can go. He's one I'd be happy to trade on his bye. Housby came in. You could hold, but I'd be happy to trade. Sarong and Young, I'd be definitely keeping. Sarong's going to be a top 8 mid. Young's going to be a top 6 defender. I wouldn't be trading either. And there's only 2 teams on buy, so there's no reason for you to trade them unless you've got But no, even if you had 10 Port and Frere players in your team, these 2 would be top of the list to keep. And I'll be trading definitely a few others over them. Just wouldn't be trading them under any circumstances whatsoever. Jai Clark hopefully gets named this week, so we don't have to trade. But if he's not named, he can go. Darcy Jones can go. Jackson I'd probably want to keep. Would be good cover in round 14 and 15 for if you've got a Gorn in round 14 or an English or a Marshall in round 15, he'd be good cover through there. And he's in a forward line where he's sort of a top 10 to 12 forward. So I'd be happy to hold for the time being. Sweet can go. McKercher can go. I don't think he's not probably going to play this week from what I'm hearing, and he's probably not going to play next week either. So or might not play next week. So I'd be happy to trade. Boak, you brought him in last week through the buys, so I wouldn't be trading him now. He made a bit of cash last week, got a 70. Break even, is it still fairly low? Yeah, 64. I'd still be holding through the buys, and you can trade him in round 16 and get another forward in. And Dawson, unless he was ruled out, I would definitely be keeping against Richmond. It sounds like he is going to play as well, so I'd be holding. I wouldn't be trading Dawson. He's still a top 8 midfielder, even though he's dealing with a foot issue. But that buy coming in a couple of weeks will help him. Top 5 targets for the week. Fisher's number 1. It's a pretty obvious number 1 as well. I think it's just the price is right. 4 tons in a row. You've got good matchups to come in a forward line where you don't have many options. I think he's the obvious number 1. Number 2 is Zorko, I think. Dane Zorko. People probably think paying over $1 million, why would he be number 2? He's got the Dogs this week at Marvel, then St Kilda next week. Dogs this week's on a Friday. Next week, he's plays Saints on a Thursday. Perfect VC option. Huge ceiling and good matchups. Weak forward line. We're going to need him at some point. I just think with 3 trades, it's a good week to bring him in. And then you don't have to worry about having to find the money to bring him in next week. If you can do it this week, I'd be biting the bullet and getting him in. Number 3, I'd probably put Tom Green just ahead of Errol Goulden. I'd put Goulden at 4, Green at 3 just for the value. If you're looking for a sugar hit, you could definitely go. I'd probably go Errol Goulden over Green. I'm just going to put Green there just because the value and the money you save is why I'd put him there. But Goulden at number 4 is a great option. Geelong this week. I think Sydney have got a decent run coming up as well, if I'm not mistaken. They've obviously got Geelong this week. Crows, Giants, Freo, St Kilda, North. Yeah, it's not bad. So, yeah, I'd definitely be happy to bring Goulden in. And Goulden's a good option regardless anyway. But, yeah, the run's not too bad. So, Goulden at 4. And number 5, I would put... Who would I put at number 5? Probably Josh Dunkley. Yeah, I'd probably put Josh Dunkley there at number 5. Dogs this week, St Kilda next week, same as Zorko. Good matchups. Dunkley, top 8 mid. You've got the money. It's time to pay up for these big ceiling players, and Dunkley is one of those, so I'd be happy to get him. Heaney would be there as well. Well, would be Dunkley / Heaney, but I think a lot of people have got Heaney. But if you don't have him, I'd probably get him over Dunkley. But a lot of people have got him. But yeah, Heaney, great option as well. You've got a few good options come off the bye. LDU's one we probably didn't speak out. And even Harry Sheasel is probably one that I like bringing in as well this week. Yeah, LDU. Yeah, probably. They're probably the couple of guys I'd be happy to bring in. So in terms of my trades this week, I am looking at going... what are my trades? Yeah, Bonner to Fisher is pretty much locked in. That's the one trade that's... unless there's red dots that I get, then I might just keep Bonner. But at this stage, it's Bonner to Fisher. Then the two scenarios I'm looking at is going a Harley Reid down to McMullen, or a Dowling or a rookie, and then going Ollie Dempsey up to Dane Zorko, and having, I think, 22, unless a few other guys don't get named. And that technically leaves Fraser at F6. Or I go Hugo Garcia down to the rookie, McMullen, Dowling, etc. And then I go a Harley Reid up to Tom Green. So they're the few options I'm playing at. The one with Tom Green gives me a couple extra numbers, but I feel like Zorko gives me the ceiling play. So I'm leaning Zorko, plus the 3 trades. It's good to just lock in Zorko, and then I can work around it. I've got a plan, obviously, to upgrade Fraser before the end of the buys anyway. So that's what I'm looking at. But there is a chance I go to Tom Green route. They're the two, I'm looking at doing anyway. So, but yeah, let me know in the comments below, guys, what you guys are doing with your round 13 trades. All your trade questions, put them in the comments below, and I'll get to as many as I can before the games start. If you'd like to ask me a question on Q, head over to askmeonq.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. Just a small fee there, but I can answer your question a lot more in depth than what I can probably give you in the comments on here. Give you an audio response, go straight to your email, and only you can hear the advice sort of I give you. Really helps with team-dependent questions. You can send through your team by like typing it out, and I can sort of see what you're looking at and really sort of give you an in-depth and advice for your trade. So if you'd like to hit me up there, yeah, links in the description below as well to hit me up there. So yeah, make sure you guys go and check that out. And yeah, make sure you smash the thumbs up on the video. 250 likes is the goal. Hopefully we can hit that, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're back on Friday for the pre-lockout chat at the usual time of 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Perth time. And watch along. Be back this Saturday as well. Obviously had last week and a couple weeks ago off when I was in Melbourne, but we'll be back this week. Very relevant game as well with St Kilda and Gold Coast. So really looking forward to that. So make sure if you guys aren't doing anything on a Saturday night, I'll be starting about 7:20 Eastern time, 5:20 Perth time, 10 minutes before the bounce of that game, and we'll watch the game together and chat some fantasy in AFL. So yeah, make sure you guys tune to that. It's always good fun and trying to build a good community on those Saturday nights, so make sure you get around it. So thanks guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on the Friday pre-lockout chat. So happy trading, and yeah, catch you then. I'm out. Cheers.